Hey there, good people. Patricia here, and today we are doing an update on my reading list challenge. I don't really want to call it a challenge, but my efforts to maintain my reading goals for the year. That's what we'll say. Because apparently this is a good time to do the goals reset, reevaluation, which is about right. It's mid-year and I normally do that in some capacity, and it's just kind of all naturally falling inwards. So I think in the last book talk video that I did, I was finishing Cecile Richards' book, which I loved. It was great. Go check that out. I'll try to remember to drop the link in here when I did that book. And it was, I enjoyed it, but I was thinking, I was sharing then about how I was I was off of my schedule for reading. And so I'd already skipped past one of my anchor list books. So if you haven't been following, the beginning of the year, I had said I wanted to get back to my higher levels of reading that I hadn't done in quite some time. It's been really sporadic. And so I found a system that on Instagram, I think it was, that someone used, and where you could identify what it is you want to accomplish. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I do that. So I combined two and developed an anchor list. So it's basically about 10 books that you choose and say, these are the 10 books I'm going to read this year, no matter what. And then anything else comes however you want. Like it's a part of whatever you're reading, whatever you're interested in, and all of that. So that's the one I chose. And it was a little bit of a rough start at the time because the book that I chose to start with was a little bit of a heavy lift. But it was one that I wanted to, and it'd been on my shelves for years. So I then did a little bit more kind of investigating and studying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I read roughly 15 pages a day, doesn't matter what book, but if I read 15 pages a day, that gets me to the number of pages that my 10 books total, roughly. And I was like, that's it. So that's where I was cruising through. I finished that one. I finished the next one. And then some stuff just started happening because hello, life. And that's where I got off schedule. And so then it was a matter of trying to get back into the groove because I think I got sick. And then there was some other family stuff that popped off. And so that combination of things made it such that I was off not just on my reading schedule, but I was off on a bunch of things. And so there it is, that whole trying to get back in the groove on all the things all at once, and that does not work, right? Okay. So anyway, so there I was, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to adjust. And so I did. One of the books that I was trying to get to, I skipped, that was next, that I said I wanted to read next. I skipped past it, and I moved on instead to one that was next on the list. It's called From Scratch by Timby Locke. And it is one that I got I think at the Texas Book Festival some years ago, because it's signed by the author. So I clearly got it there and I got it signed. And I also know that there is I think it's a Netflix movie, but there's definitely a movie that's been done about this book as well. That's the basis. And I want to read the book before I read the movie because I'm that person. Generally, as a general, if there's a book, if the movie is based on a book, I generally want to read the book first, if that's possible, and then watch the movie, because sometimes, I'm not a fan of the movie. And then I get discouraged from reading the book, and I don't want to do that. So I try to honor that. I don't always, but this is one of those ones for sure. So I started it. Life had happened again, with family member getting sick, with needing to travel for a graduation. And so here I am. I'm like, oh my gosh. So there I was just the other day. I'm like, I have got to get through this because the rest of my year is getting thrown off, because right now with the summer, I really intended to be reading the Obama books. That was my plan, to kind of coincide with the opening of the Presidential Center. And I'm super excited about a trip later in the year. So definitely want to have those books done before that happens. So I'm adjusting again and realize I just simply got off track again. Like, I set a plan and a process for myself, and I haven't been honoring it. So there's why you just keep going, and again, putting it off to the end of the day. That's something that I realized earlier. It was like I needed to set a minimum number of pages to read, and not to do my anchor reading late at night. When I realized that a few months back, that's when I really could. And I've kind of slipped back on that, and I'm like, you gotta reset. You gotta reset, reval. I'm doing the reevaluation, but now it's the reset and move forward. And to do those two things, literally, read my minimum 15 pages a day of my anchor book. This is my current anchor book. And then not put it off to the end of the day. Because my brain goes, trying to do other things, or like I'll pick up some other stuff, and I'm going to show you because I'm already distracted for various reasons with several other books that I'm like, oh, those are not your anchor books, but you want to read them. So now I've got to work through how I'm going to make that happen while honoring my anchor book reads and what I'm going to adjust moving forward. I need to look at my list because, like I said, the two Obama books, Becoming, and then President Obama's, the larger one, I just went blank on it. Not his first one, but the second one, I want to have done before my trip this fall. So those may adjust a little bit. We'll see. And I need to look and see what else is on the list. That's what I need to remember, because I don't remember what else was on my reading list after those for my anchors. But besides the, several books of fiction that I have bought, there's new stuff. I have Viola Davis's book that she co-authored with James Patterson. I love James Patterson. I love Viola Davis as an actress. So, of course, I've got to read that one. I have that one. I have a couple of other books that I picked up from some, probably from the book festival, whatever, that are on my, like, oh, I'd like to get to these this year as well. And some that I can't even name. And then ones that come back, old ones that resurface. So The Big Leap is a book that I got introduced to by one of my former coaches. It was mandatory reading to be a part of her program. And I'm telling you, I read this book normally now about once a year. I think I'm off, so it's time to read it. And it came to the forefront for me again as a reminder as I was talking to a potential new client and saying, hey, this is mandatory reading if you work with me one-on-one. And that's when I remembered, I'm like, I had pulled it down. And it was my reminder. I'm like, yes, and it's time for you to reread this book as well right now. So that's one that's got to happen. It'll be a quick read since I've read it before, so it'll be more of a skim for me to see where I need to re-engage on some things. This is definitely on the personal development front side, and I highly recommend it. And I'd love to get your input on it. But yeah, if you ever decide you want to work with me one-on-one, and for long-term, not my strategy power hours or some of those other things. But if we're going to do a VIP day or the executive coaching program, this is required reading. And so, why not start early? Then this book here, I have to read because I have written the foreword for it, and my friend Lisa Grant Davis has has updated the book from when she did it a couple of years ago, and I did the foreword, and and she's done some things a little bit differently, so I've got to read it, and I'm super excited that again someone that I know has taken the dive into not just being an author, but like, editing her work. And this one is The Rhythm and Blues of Service. And it's a guide to culturally rooted service strategies that create success for Black businesses and organizations. So I need to read this updated. This is hot off the presses. She just personally delivered it to me a few weeks ago. Or I take that back, like a week ago. And I've got to read it because I anticipate us needing to have a conversation about it, and it's gonna, of course, be one of my video chat conversations. So we're gonna have to do that. Okay. Then I went to the African American Book Festival this past weekend, and a few days back, and there was one author who was here that I did not get to hear her speak. And of course, they were all out of her books. And it's the 1619 Project. So I'll have to go purchase that one. That's been on my to be purchased and to be read list as well. And so I will still need to get that. But one of the other authors that I got to hear is John Hope Bryant. And he was there with his books. I didn't know he had a new one. So this one I don't think is new. I don't remember what the published date is on this one. But this is Capitalism For All, and then Financial Literacy For All. And if you don't know who John Hope Bryant is, I don't have the right words. I don't have sufficient words. You just need to go do a search. You can do a Google search. I recommend doing the search on YouTube, finding him, and just watching a couple of his videos because he's off the chain. So it was not an introduction to him. I knew some of his approach to economic development and economic strength of people, especially historically underrepresented folks who've been harmed by some of the economic, I don't know why I'm editing words, but who have been harmed or, seen less benefit from the economics of our society here in the U.S. And so he has been on this, journey for a while now, and has earned the respect of a number of folks in the financial communities. And he has an organization, Operation Hope. It's, I think, if not the largest, but one of the largest financial literacy organizations that's directed at helping, average people be successful. But his approach is, a little different, a little very blunt, and very, challenging. He does not buy into some of the status quo things. And if you have a difficult time with that, well, challenge your brain is what I tell folks. Challenge your brain. You don't have to agree with everything he says to be able to learn from him and to be challenged by what he says, and then to dig a little bit deeper about why you agree or disagree with it, right? So in any case, this one, that forwards alone on this one, I'm like, what? The Michael Milken, Ad Bastian, and Andrew Young. I'm like, yeah, I've definitely got to read this. So that means I've got 2 more books that I need to work in. I am not adding them to my anchor books. However, because of some other things that I want to achieve and work through from a business perspective, I think this would really be very helpful for me to dig in. And having someone who I've heard speak recently with a new book is quite the motivation to make that happen. So as you can see, that puts 4 books that I did not have, or well, one I had but need to redo, and 3 more that I did not even have a week ago, onto my to be read list. And I would like to read them sooner rather than later. So besides getting myself back on track with my anchor reading, the couple other things I need to do is probably, absolutely limit the scroll. Hello. It's a real thing. And I am owning that I probably scroll a little too much. So controlling my scroll time on my phone and internet, whatever, and on some TV, because sometimes you could just fall into that trap and it's just going in the background when you could be doing something else. And so I'm going to be doing a little bit of evaluation of myself and my time, because here's the thing, it's not because I don't have the time. I do have the time. It's about what is it that I'm doing with my time, and am I doing the things I really and truly want to do to move myself forward personally and professionally. There we are, right? There we are. And so it's really important to engage in that level of self-reflection on a regular basis. And as I always say, it's always a perfect time. So whenever you get to this video, it's a great time to engage in that. But I also say, in particular, like if it's summer where you are, a lot of times the summers are where people kind of step back and take a little bit of a, less intense approach to life. Well, I'm going to, challenge you to dive a little deeper on just one issue or just one thing, one goal that you may have for yourself, and engaging in the reflection on where you are on that is a perfect thing and time to do that. And another time is, in the changing of the calendar year. I do not do, New Year's resolutions. Like I gave those up years ago. I do set goals for the year and then reevaluate them throughout the year and make adjustments. But the resolution making, I gave up a long time ago. And there is a difference between making a resolution and setting goals that you remember you can adjust for yourself, even if that means eliminating them. So setting goals at the time of the calendar year works, because it's an easy thing to track, right, from that perspective. But the reality is your quote calendar year can start anytime. You can start, tracking 12 months from any day of the year. And so I always encourage people to do that. Do not limit yourself by saying, oh, I have to wait to start this at the beginning of the traditional calendar year. No, nope, not true. All right. So that's, yet another thing that I will be working through for myself in the next couple of months. And I will keep tracking, get back. And of course, when I finish this, I will definitely do a book talk catch up so you know what my thoughts are on it. And then I will let you know what I'm reading next as from my anchor list when I do that. Okay, so that's it for today, and I encourage you to go take a look at one of the goals on your list and figure out where you stand with it, and to figure out what one thing you need to do to move yourself closer to achieving it. All right, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.